Hey guys, welcome back. Behavior Strategies for Class here. This is where we empower educators with effective behavior management strategies that work so you can teach. Now, for the next few weeks, I'm going to talk about predictable systems, relational strategies, and concrete tools that will help you respond with skill and not stress to your students' challenging behaviors. And today we're going to talk about predictable systems. So I know you want to keep growing your classroom to thrive, right? I know it's still the beginning of the year and you're still kind of getting things going, or maybe your class is a well-oiled machine. Like, that's amazing. Your students know what's expected. They know what they need to do any time of the day. And we want you to keep growing that way. So today we're going to dive into the power of predictable systems and routines. And those small intentional structures help create big shifts for your students in safety, in trust, and in learning. They help your students reduce stress. It frees up their mental energy and gives everyone the gift of consistency in your classroom. This is definitely an evidence-based practice that provides great results for everyone in your classroom. So let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to Behavior Strategies for Class. I am Diane Bachman, your behavior paraprofessional with over 15 years of experience working in special education. And I'm so glad you're here because I'll be teaching you about social emotional learning, behavior strategies, trauma-informed care, and more. So if you are tired of being frustrated and not knowing what to do with your students who have challenging and disruptive behavior, you're in the right place. Now, if you're ready to become more equipped to help your students learn and grow, let's listen in to today's episode. And before we get started, I want to encourage you to download your free cheat sheet on emotional regulation, and that link is in the show notes. So definitely get that. It will be a great bonus for your classroom so you again can respond with skill and knowledge rather than stress and in the moment. So for our students, a lot of the predictable systems we have is them knowing the expectations. The expectations when they come into our classroom. The expectations when they come in and they're dysregulated. What are they going to do? They're going to be taking a time out. Then they're going to be processing with somebody about what happened and maybe what they could do better next time. Those are the expectations they can know. Sometimes they come in and if they're hungry or they're tired, they know that they can come get a snack and they can come sit and chill for 5 minutes and then head back to class. So they have known, or they have grown to know, what is the expectation in our classroom. And then when we send them out or take them out into the general ed classroom, we remind them of those expectations as well. So when you're in class, like, your job is to follow directions. Your job is to be safe and stay in your classroom with your class and your teacher. And so we give those gentle reminders, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes just when we think they need it again. Other times, like, they have a great time, they have a great day, and they're doing a great job. So we don't have to constantly remind them of what the expectations are. And that's probably the same for you. You know, sometimes you come in and your students know what to do, like that morning routine and what's expected and where their homework goes and all the other little things of their lunch and making a lunch choice and all of those things. When they know it's math time, they know what they're expected to get, maybe their new workbook. maybe a math sheet that they need to finish, making sure they have a pencil, just little things. And again, like I said in the intro, these are small intentional routines and structures that help create the shifts of safety and trust and learning. Because when they know what's expected, and I know I've said this a lot, but it really does build trust and they feel safe. And so for some of your students that have been through trauma, they have a hard time like letting their guard down, knowing and trying to understand, okay, I am safe in here. I can, turn my back, or I can, engage with this lesson. So it's super exciting and super important for all of your students to know that they can feel safe and know that you are a trusted adult and they can trust you and that you are a person of your word. And when you, say the expectation, you follow through on that and they know that this is what's going to happen. So like I said, when our students dysregulate and they come into our room, they know they're going to be sitting for a timeout. They know they're going to have to talk to somebody when that timeout is done. So getting those in place really takes away the guessing game. And the guessing game makes them feel unstable. They're unsure of what's going to happen next. They are unsure where they need to go next, right? A lot of our students transition into different interventions and different classrooms for different, subjects. And so, if they don't know what's happening and now all of a sudden kids are moving in and out of their classroom and the teacher's like yelling at them because they're not really sure what to do because it hasn't been made clear or it hasn't been done on a consistent basis. Now this student is having a meltdown. Now they're sitting and crying, or now they're throwing their pencil across the room. However they react to that stress, it's going to happen in your room. And so by having these predictable systems, you alleviate those disruptive behaviors. Because for the most part, then they know what to expect. Not saying, of course, that no dysregulation is ever going to happen again, because we all know kids will have dysregulation, because we never know also like what's happening at home. We never know exactly what may be going on there and what's being said there, what's being done there. So when they can come into your classroom and feel safe and feel trusted, and know that they can concentrate on their learning and not have to worry about, what's happening to mom at home, or are we going to have food for dinner tonight? Or, and granted, those may still be concerns for them, but they are not maybe in the forefront of their minds. And so they can concentrate on learning and being able to engage in your classroom. So this is, again, an evidence-based practice that has proven results. And I know you want those as well. So like I said, it creates safety and stability for your students. Your students feel comfort, and so they're ready to focus on their learning. They have that increased engagement because they feel safe. They feel like they can let their guards down and they know like, okay, I'm okay to engage with you. I know like, I don't know, something else isn't going to happen by chance, right? Like we've been doing our monthly fire drills. And for the most part, everybody knows when the fire drill is going to happen. So even giving them that notice of the fire drill and then where they need to go puts that into practice for them, puts that structure there. So they know, Okay, when that alarm goes off, I know we line up quietly, we go down the stairs, we go out that door, and we head out to that field and we line up over there. It's a predictable system that they know when that fire alarm goes off, they know what to do. They know what's expected. If we have a lockdown drill, they know what's expected. And that's exactly this, right? The predictable systems. So when they hear, okay, we're in a lockdown, that door goes locked, those lights go out, those shades come and cover the windows. We are sitting in the corner quietly until somebody actually opens the door with a key, and it's law enforcement. So they know the predictability of what happens when they hear those words. Or like we do tornado drills as well. They know where to go. They know how to sit in the hallway. They know where they need to go to be safe. It's that predictable system in place that they know this is where we need to go. This is what we need to do. And it really helps encourage that engagement in the classroom, like I said. I was in a different class today, and it was great to see so many people raising their hands to answer a question or to read something out loud. Like I remember when I was in school, I never wanted to raise my hand. I never wanted to speak out in front of everybody. I never wanted to give an answer because I was always unsure if I had the right answer. And of course, every now and then I did get picked on to answer a question or to read something. And looking back, I think I did okay, right? But there was not always a ton of engagement and people like, pick me. Like that never really happened when I was going to school. So it's so cool to see that now that kids are like, yeah, pick me. Like, I want to read that. I want to say this, or I have a question over here. And majority of teachers, like, you guys are great in letting them, say what their question is. Even though sometimes the teachers and I will look at each other like, okay, like where did that come from? Or sometimes it's a funny question, But just knowing that they are safe and being able to ask that question really does wonders for their spirit as well. And then you feel encouraged because you see your students being more engaging, wanting to learn more about whatever subject it is that you're teaching. I mean, obviously, right? This is what you're there for, to teach and to help them have a love of learning, because that love of learning stays with you forever. Like, I still love learning about student behavior, about trauma-informed strategies, about trauma-informed care, and how can we really engage with our students who have been through trauma in a more empathetic way. And it really creates that positive classroom environment. Like, who doesn't want to be in there? Like that class I was just talking about. Like, everybody's happy to be in there. Now, of course, you're always going to have like one or two outliers who just don't really, they're apathetic. And you try your best to get them engaged, but they just don't want to for whatever reason. But they still feel that positivity in their classroom. They still feel that energy of everybody wanting to be there, of everybody wanting to learn about what you're teaching. Like some of their writing assignments and teaching them how to like brain dump, right? How to get them to come up with all these different ideas, throw them on paper, and then when it's time to write their essay, they can go back to that paper and be like, okay, well, I want to, dive deeper into this area. I want to dive deeper into this idea and this idea. I don't want to talk about that one. And be able then to put it all together It's really awesome to see their excitement in knowing that you validate what it is that they're going to share. You're going to validate what their input is in that lesson at the time. And that's super exciting. Now, granted, of course, there's going to be times you're going to be like, okay, guys, like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And, these are the guidelines, and let them go from there. Depending on what your lesson is, you may have broader guidelines for that, and other times they may be a little more narrow, and you just have to give them a couple things that they have to work with. But that, again, creates that positive classroom environment. So that's really the why you have predictable systems in your classroom. Not only being evidence-based, but it helps alleviate those disruptive behaviors because they know what's going to happen. So what does this really look like? This looks like those clear expectations, those clear routines, clear, consistent expectations. Like I said, do you have those routines posted maybe somewhere in your room? Do you have them maybe written down for some of your students who need a visual closer to them on their desk? We have sometimes printed out like the daily schedule for some of our students, and we would have it taped to their desk. So when they would have a question about what comes next, what we're doing next, we could just point to them and say, okay, buddy, well, what does it say on your schedule right here? Sometimes that's in words for our students who could read. Sometimes that schedule is in pictures so they can see, okay, it's math time, and you have like a picture of numbers, there. Either way, if you are able to help some of your students who maybe have a harder time remembering, those are great visuals to have for them on their desk so they have it right there for them. And then following through on those expectations, on those consequences in your classroom, because again, that builds trust when you say what you mean and you mean what you say, right? I don't know if you guys have ever heard that before, but I definitely have heard that. And I try to stick with that as well. Sometimes I've heard teachers threaten a student who's having challenging behaviors, and, it's a threat that you really can't follow through on at that moment. And kids are smart. They know that you can't follow through on whatever that threat is that you gave them. Because now you're threatening them to make them comply to a behavior, and that's not really helping shape behavior. You're just giving them a threat, which is probably like their parents do, and so they push back on that 1,000%. And so now you've lost credibility because you can't follow through, and you're not really meaning what you say. So if you have those expectations, you have those consequences, make them doable. So when you say, if you don't finish this assignment now, you're doing it during recess, you can follow through on that, and they know that as well. Instead of like, well, you're going to have to take it home and you're going to have to write 10 more pages about this subject and you have to turn it in tomorrow. And if you can't do that, then you're going to be stuck here and blah, blah, blah. I mean, whatever it is that we sometimes come up with in the heat of the moment because we're frustrated just as much as the student is, we sometimes come up with some crazy consequence or threat or whatever, and we can't follow through on that. And that just totally breaks that trust of who you are and who maybe you're trying to be, and that is that trusted, caring adult. So when they can't trust you because you're not following through on your word, you lose that credibility like from right there, whenever that starts. And I know that's not where you want to be. Not saying, I know like it's the opposite end where you have to be BFFs with your students, not saying that at all, but that they know they can come up to you and share with whatever's going on with them, that you are that trusted, caring adult in their life when they are at school. They know they can count on you to say what you mean and mean what you say. So again, all of these predictable systems, these predictable routines that you set up for your students, and maybe you have to keep reminding them now, like it's October, it's been a few months, but maybe you're going to need refreshers. Like that's okay, because I think the more you practice, right, the more they're going to get that routine. The more that they're going to know and understand, like, okay, this is what is expected. So remember, this is an evidence-based practice with results. And I want to leave you with this quote from Les Brown, who is an amazing motivational speaker, if you ever feel the need to feel motivated and encouraged. And he says, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So that is this reminder that you are modeling that for your students. Like they're not going to start out great in your classroom, right? They're starting out fresh. You're teaching them a whole brand new, all kinds of subjects for this new grade level that they're at. But they have to start in order to get great at what it is you're going to be teaching them. And so you model that every day as you are learning the material, with them, and you're excited and you're getting them excited, and you guys are doing great work. And I hope you know that and you realize the impact that you have on your students, on your school, on your community, on these families, because now is the time that we need more positivity, more positive role models, and you guys are doing that each and every day. Don't forget also to get your free cheat sheet for emotional regulation. In the show notes, click that link in Calendly so we can connect. I would love to connect with you and see if there's any way I can help you through any challenging behaviors that you're having right now. Shoot me an email, DM me on Facebook in the Facebook group. Guys, I would love to hear from you and I'd love to encourage you. So again, you are doing awesome. Get those predictable systems and routines in place so that you help alleviate those disruptive behaviors and continue to grow a classroom that thrives. Thanks so much for listening. I truly appreciate your support. And if I have encouraged you, motivated you to continue to learn, to support your students, even better, to help them strive in your classroom, please leave a review, hit that subscribe button so that others can see they can learn and grow here as well. Thank you.